Rob Drummond, Rob Carpenter joining us here in studio. A couple of Cuse greats. Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming in. How are we today?
Well, pretty well, and thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I should ask you, Paulie, as well. How are you doing?
Okay,
I didn't mean to ignore you.
It's all right. I'm great. Doesn't matter how I feel.
Big game tomorrow. I mean, we've been talking about
huge.
it forever. We finally get to see it. I guess we'll start with that. I mean, what do you guys make of Fran Brown and all of this excitement that he seems to have re-energized this fan base here? So, Rob Drummond, I'll start with you. What do you think about the job Fran Brown has done, and are you kind of buying into what he's selling?
We're lucky at the Syracuse University organization and city to be blessed with the likes of a coach like Fran Brown. You know what, I was telling Slow-Mo over here, and I'll get into it why we call him Slow-Mo, because everybody always asks me, why do you call him Slow-Mo? But anyway, I was told, you're going to meet a coach at Syracuse, coming to Syracuse now, who's a lot like you. And then I went to the first interview with Coach Brown when he accepted the job, and he blew me away. The simple fact of how he cares about those kids, how he cares about the community, and how he cares about the people around him, just, it's like that's a lot like Coach Mack. It's just that I had always say when I was at Syracuse here, and in my life here in Syracuse as a resident being born and raised here, that Coach Mack could have ran for mayor and won 100 points, but he just embraced the city, embraced the people, and he wanted it to be a community team and not just a university team. And that's something that Fran Brown, emulates, and not just with the players, but what he does for the city. Even going to the basketball games and after the games, just going around, and he doesn't have to, just picking up garbage and just throwing it away. That's just something the coach that's making millions of dollars doesn't do. But it's someone in him. He doesn't think he's better than anybody else. And as a player, you respect and you love a coach like that who puts himself behind and puts you first. And that's something. Nothing against Coach Babers, who had a great game. I guess I was watching on television out there in Arizona. But Babers just didn't embrace the city. In order to get the community behind you, you have to embrace the city. And that's what I feel Coach Brown is doing and what he's brought.
And I'd imagine it's gone a long way with both of you that in Fran Brown's introductory press conference, he brought up Coach Mack and he brought up Coach P, and he talked about the history and those who helped build the program. We've got a couple of those players, sitting in front of us here today that, you guys were a big part of what Syracuse football was all about, and it seems like he's embracing that. Can you speak to that? Rob Carpenter here, we'll come to you. Just, and again, nothing against Dino Babers, as you said, Rob, but he didn't really embrace the alums, and it seems like Fran Brown is doing that. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. That's one of the big differences that I've noticed. Speak to any other alumni, that's the first thing that they notice. Fran, in his introductory press conference, he basically brought it up and was like, you got to go back to what made it happen here. And so him bringing up number 44, him bringing back mostly all of us and embracing us, into the program. So he's made it feel like, it's like a family atmosphere. We were talking about that a little earlier, where if you can put the family together, you can keep everything together. And we just opened it now that, he can build the program like Coach Mack did. Took it over when it was kind of down low and then built it up to, like Rob said, he got to the point where he could run for mayor around here and, everybody would have voted for him. So, Fran seems like he's doing that right now, and he's genuine with it. From where he came from in Camden, New Jersey, he speaks about that. Bringing himself here and trying to make it where everyone from there can come here with no problem. The kids actually can get out, have a sense that they see someone who made it, and they have that feeling of them. They can make it out as well. The little boys, the little girls, everyone that's around. So he's embraced the city, which is great to see. And like Drum said, he's going around the city just, at will. You don't have to call him to do anything. He just all of a sudden shows up in places, which is actually great. And again, for the alumni thing, we've taken a hold of it, right away. So as soon as he opened the door, basically he said, call him anytime, walk in anytime. If you're gonna make comments, be around. Just don't, make off the cuff comments. Just being, at a distance. Be around. Show your face. His door's always open. The facility's always open. Wasn't like that, years past.
Right.
You didn't see many of us around here, but in the months that he's been here, 8, 9 months, whatever it's been since he's been here, tons of guys have been back here, and are embracing everything that he's doing. Just hoping that the wins come eventually, and it'll just be so much better.
It's great to see. And you mentioned, Fran Brown being from Camden. We know Robert Drummond here is from here and went to JD. You're a New York guy, Rob, not from here in Syracuse, but went to school here. Bring us up to date on what you're up to these days. Where you living? What are you doing?
I'm from Long Island, from Amityville. A lot of people used to call me the Amityville Horror from way back when. But I live in Jersey now, so I live in North Jersey. 3-hour drive here. So it's easy for me to get here. Not doing much nowadays, trying to stay healthy. That's basically it for me. Like all of us, we just talking about we getting old.
Oh, my goodness.
I got grandkids now, so you're just at that point like, man, we are up there, So man, I'm just trying to take it easy and live and enjoy what's going on right now here. It's good to relive some of the things that we did here. We talk about it quite often, but sooner or later, those young kids will be taking over, and it's just fun to watch them right now.
A name that's come up a couple times so far in this interview already was Coach Mack, and he's going to be put in the Ring of Honor. I was honored enough to work with him in the radio booth for a long time. What was he like to each of you, and what was your first impressions of him? He was automatically likable, right? You automatically liked that guy.
For me, I know Drummond's from here, but for me, it was a little different. I transferred here, so he embraced me as soon as I walked in the door. I knew that the trouble, if you want to call it, academic trouble I was in Notre Dame, not that I didn't know what I was doing. I just really didn't want to be there. I wanted to be out. And he embraced me from that point. He's like, listen, you got a brand new start. Do it over, get your stuff together, and make it work. But for me, he talked to me off the field a lot. Didn't really have to do anything with football. He talked to me about being a man and doing the right things off the field. So that's one of the things I embraced with him, even after my days of not being here, long after it was all over. The times I spoke to him, it was just off-the-cuff stuff, just talking about how's the family and everything like that. So I took that to heart and took it for me, as a coach that actually cared about what was going on with you or with me off the field rather than on the field. On the field stuff just, took care of itself. And as long as you were doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, classroom and everywhere else, he was good with it. But if you were screwing up, he would let you know. Mac was that kind of guy. It was tough love at times for everybody. I know Drum can speak to this as well.
Let me ask you about that, because us in the media, and we didn't see that side of him. It was always a smile and a friendly guy. But
Please.
God love you.
Yeah, God love you. What was he like when he was upset with you?
Honestly, it was funny. I mean, my relationship with Coach Mack started earlier, my freshman, sophomore year in high school, because Scott Schwades was being recruited. I played with Scott Schwades at JD, the Red Rams. Hey, and they would come to to recruit Scott and visit Scott at the school, and that's how I got noticed, because of Scott Schwades, and I got a chance to meet Coach Mack, and he would sit there and talk to me, things of that nature, and I said to myself, what a nice guy, and then boom, fast forward a year later when I got to Syracuse, just God damn it, guys, it's just Coach Mack saw everything, and as a football coach, he was tough. He didn't expect perfection, but he expected perfection. He expected you to go out there and do the best you possibly could, give 110%, and if you failed, get back up, dust yourself off, and do it again. A lot of guys had a love-hate relationship with Coach Mack, and I mean that in the earnest and in a loving way. He wanted the best for everybody, and it's not just the football players; it's the city as well. He would always embody in us, have the mindset of, just don't do for ourselves, do for others also. That's what makes great, not just great football players, but great gentlemen, and great leaders. I learned so much from Coach Mack, God rest his soul, and his family, with all the players will say, we embrace them all. With Sandra, God rest her soul also, happened to go to her funeral this past year. It was just a family that I'm proud now when I speak of him, because he is a part of the man I am today, and undeniably, he got the best out of all of us. And I think Rob would also sit here and say that. It's odd for me sitting there and say Rob. It's slow-mo to me, but Coach Mack is just somebody who embraced the university, embraced the city, and just love to see his young men and women become successful in life.
All right, you've brought up the nickname a couple of times. What's the story? Tell us the story.
I'll tell the story. So my transfer year.
First of all, slow-mo, it means but Rob's a 4.2, 4.3, 40-yard dash guy, so that's not why, but go ahead.
So when my transfer year here, back then transfer rules, of course, were so much different. And basically it was just go to practice, and go to class. So I didn't really have to worry about anything that had to really do with football like those guys did. So I was literally the last one to practice and the last one off the field. I was in no hurry to go anywhere. So these guys would actually be eating dinner by the time I just got out of the shower. So I know, I'm like, all right, they're not going to leave me. So, everything was there. I would be the last one everywhere. And I walked so slow. And then they're like, dude, you're like the slowest person on the earth until you get the ball. We're going to call you slow-mo. And literally from that day at practice, it stuck. So that's the baseline of the story right there.
That's funny. That's a great thing.
He's not joking. He would literally, we'd be almost done with the food, and he'd still be in the shower.
Still be in the shower. Like, yep.
Rob, what's he doing?
We bring up Coach Mack, and there's another legend being honored this weekend. As you guys well know, Dwight Freeney just went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame, and now he's going to have his jersey retired. I know you guys didn't play with Dwight, but when you see, part of the Syracuse football family have that kind of honor bestowed on him, that he's had this last year with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, now having his jersey retired. I mean, what can you say about Dwight Freeney and, again, just the Syracuse football family at large?
That's what it is. It's a family. I mean, again, like you just said, we didn't play with him, but we know him. Like Marvin, same thing. We didn't play with him, but we know him. So anybody that's come through, these doors here, we're all, part of a family. And that was a good thing about it. Off the field, everyone knows everyone in a certain way. And that's a good thing about what Fran is doing right now. Everybody's back, and everybody gets to see everyone all at one time. You didn't play with a lot of guys that have come back through these doors, but it's all feeling like a family. So it's great to see.
I saw a crazy stat when Coach Mack was coaching, and I want to ask you guys if it's attainable again. Syracuse, with Coach Mack, had a run of the third winningest program in college football over a 3-year span, and the only two schools ahead of them were Florida State and Miami. Do you think that's attainable again at Syracuse? Is that something that can be replicated?
It's very attainable. I mean, first thing you have to understand about winning football games is the mindset. You could have the best athletes in the world out there, but if they're not coachable, if they're not a culture that learns how to play together, if they don't believe in the system, they don't believe in each other, they don't believe in the community, they're not going to gel. I mean, I looked at Syracuse last week, and of course I was frustrated, but I always cheer for my boys, but I understood it's like they have to learn how to play together. When you learn how to play together, you play as one. When you play as individuals, you play as one set unit, but then you break off like that. They need to work on a few things, but it can be attainable. When we went undefeated in 1987, we always told ourselves, we're not going to go out there and be perfect, but let's just go out there and do our jobs. As a running back, I had to worry about my job. As a quarterback, Donnie McPherson had to worry about his. Moose Johnson had to worry about his. Tommy Kane, DeVal Governor, Pat Davis, the guys like Terry Wood, and I can go on and on and on about the defensive players and the special team guys had to worry about their positions also, or just their job. Just do your job. When Fran gets in the mindset of these gentlemen to go out there and just be able to do their job, they'll be fine. I predicted before this year that Syracuse had the possibility of going undefeated. They'd be undefeated going into the Miami game. I'm still going to stick with that premonition because they'll get it together. Defense understood what they did wrong, and now it's a pride test within themselves. Forget what anybody else thinks. Forget what us alumni thinks, the fan thinks, whoever it may be. Now they have to test themselves. They have Georgia Tech coming in here, who's a running team, and in order to get to that next goal, you have to take it, like Coach Mack said, one game at a time. One down, one to go. That was our motto and our mantra during the 1987 season. We didn't worry about the games, the Penn State game, the West Virginia game, the Boston College games, the game later on in the season. All we cared about was the next game up. The next game up for Syracuse this week is Georgia Tech. And I have a feeling they're going to take care of business, understand what they did wrong. Enjoy that week, enjoy that day off, because you literally get just a day off to enjoy a 24-hour period or a 24-hour rule, and they get ready for the next game. So right now, the mindset is to be on Georgia Tech, fixing their mistakes and believing in one another.
Rob Carpenter, I got one question for you because it's come up in the chat, and I asked you about it as soon as you walked in the door. The Louisville game in Japan, the Coca-Cola Bowl. 3 catches, 144 yards. You single-handedly basically won that game. What was that game like? What was that experience like for you, and maybe even how that game came about?
It was a weird game. When we got over to Japan, a lot of guys had the flu, so practicing early on in the week was terrible. And Billy got hurt. We didn't really have a quarterback going into the game. Pre-game, Well, I was the fourth quarterback, like literally, like, and I was a quarterback in high school. I practiced a little bit here and there, during the year, and so I was the emergency quarterback. And during pregame, when we found out there's no one left, so it was like, all right, I have to take my equipment off to get back into the mode of actually being a quarterback now. And then we just convinced Coach Mack to say, listen, give Wendell the shot, Wendell Lowry, the one and only game he actually played in his Syracuse days. And he went out, he did a good job. Like, I literally was probably like 10 minutes before the game started, was running back out on the field with my regular receiver gear back on. But it was a little weird situation right before that game. But we trusted Wendell. He practiced enough. We trusted him. But they were just literally trying to redshirt him that year and like, nah, just give him a shot.
Does that go to what you were talking about the culture and a guy just coming in
100%.
and winning in his one shot?
100%. I mean, we were just joking about it before we came in here. It's like Coach Mack used to have a saying, next man up.
Yep.
Football's a game of injuries. Like, look at the team last week. Marlo Wax goes out there and gets hurt. We can't worry about him. We wish the young man well, and we can't wait for him to come back. But the next man up has to step up and do the job. Injuries are a part of the game, and it's always going to be a part of the game. So the next person up has to do the next job.
All right, we're running short on time here, but real quick, you guys are going to be at the Orange Crate tomorrow. Can you tell us about that? If fans want to meet and greet and chat it up with you guys a little bit like we're doing here today.
Yeah, we'll be in there 10 o'clock in the morning. So pregame stuff. Fans can come by. We'll be in there. Photos, autographs. Just to chop it up and actually have a good time pregame with everybody that's around. Fun time during the pregame stuff. So walk up to the hill, get into the dome. 12 o'clock, and hopefully they pull this victory out against Georgia Tech.
This was a lot of fun, guys. Thanks so much for coming in. Robert Drummond, Rob Carpenter. Again, Orange Crate tomorrow, 10 a.m.
Yes.
Kickoff set for noon inside the dome between Syracuse, Georgia Tech. We got to take a quick timeout. John Schmelk will join us as we talk New York Giants football on the other side. Back after this on ESPN Radio.